तमाम साथियों को या अली मदद and welcome to this Sunday morning classes. We thank you for joining us every week, and we much appreciate everyone.
Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad. And we appreciate everyone sending their comments and questions. In this class, as announced earlier, we will have Rashida Saiba from London giving us a deeper understanding of our tariqah. And at the end of that, there will be a question and answer session. We request everyone to send the questions through the chat or WhatsApp in your group. And we will request everyone to please keep their mics mute and their video off so we can hear her clearly. So inshallah, I believe she is online with us now. Rashida Saiba, are you with us now?
Yes, Ya Ali Madad. I'm online now.
Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad. Welcome to our Sunday morning class. Let me introduce Rashida Saiba to those who have not met her in Dallas or in Pakistan before. She is a scholar. She lives in London. She has served Imami Institution and the Tariqa Board for over 40 years. Not only that she has a deeper knowledge of Islam and our Tariqa, but also the Batini knowledge of our Tariqa, and especially Batini knowledge, because that is our subject for last few weeks, how we call our Tariqa a Batini Tariqa, or what makes our Tariqa a Batini Tariqa. So without any further wait, let's hear from her. And again, if you have any question or comments, please use your WhatsApp group or chat in this class, and we will reply that to it, and we will ask those questions to her. Everybody will have an inshallah chance to ask question. Ya Ali Madad, Rashida Saiba, welcome.
Thank you, Aziz Bhai. Thank you. And thank you to all of you that you have taken time to come online to listen to my talk. I've just heard from Aziz Bhai that you have been discussing our Batini Tariqa. Inshallah, what I say today will add to that. There may be some points which may be repeated, but I think that whenever things are repeated, inshallah, we get a new dimension, a new understanding of those points. So I was given the subject, Ismaili Tariqa, a Batini Tariqa. And I would like to start with, of course, our greeting, which is Ya Ali Madad. But today I would like to use Ya Ali Madad also as a prayer, because it is a prayer. And the prayer is that may Mawla give the inspiration to hear and understand what is being discussed. And may Mawla give inspiration to the speaker or speakers so that they also can explain as clearly and as fully as possible. So I would like to start then with always our primary sources. It is our belief that first and foremost, as Ismailis, we should be aware of our primary sources. So what do we mean by that? Primary sources mean first and foremost the words of our imams, and particularly the imam of the time. Secondly, primary source includes the Holy Quran. It includes the ginans and the devotional poetry of our great peers and sayyids. It includes all the books which have been written by all the very shining stars of Ismaili history. So we have to have access, and I know access is sometimes difficult, but wherever possible, we should look at our primary sources so that we have a proper understanding of our faith, and not only a proper understanding, but we will have a benchmark. We will have a gauge by which we'll be able to understand other literature and how far the other literature resonates with our ideas or actually is contrary to our ideas. So it is very important, and this is one of the reasons why always we pray as part of our daily prayers, Ya Mawla, give the Jamaat Hakiki Samaj. So this word Hakikat or Hakiki is very much linked to the word Batini. So let's start with this Farman. And this Farman is from the little book of Farmans which the Jamaat has had for a long time. It is called Precious Gems, and it has been published by various Tariqa boards. And in this Farman book, there is a whole section on spiritual guidance. And Maulana Hazar Imam, Shah Karim al-Husseini, Hazar Imam, said this in Bombay on the 22nd of November, 1967. I know that this will not be a new Farman to you, but analyze it in more detail today. Now, Mullah said, it is important that if you recite or know parts of the Quran, you should be able to explain their meaning. Do not forget that our branch of Islam is an esoteric branch of Islam. Esoteric means that what is written is there, but its meaning is not there to everyone. It is there only to those who are part of our Jamaat. 1967, 10 years after he became our Imam Zaman. So this Farman needs to be understood. What is Mawla saying? Mawla is saying that it is not enough to know the Quranic words in Zahir, in their external meaning, or in their exoteric meaning, as we would say. These are all synonyms: Zahir, exoteric, external, outer meaning. He says that we have to know, and not only know, we should be able to explain their meaning. So this meaning is what Imam is talking about when he says we are an esoteric branch. And then he emphasizes this by saying esoteric means that what is written is there to everyone. As we all fully know, that the Holy Quran has been translated into so many languages, and it is available in any bookshop throughout the world, and Muslims and non-Muslims and everybody is reading the Quran. So the written word is there for everyone, but its meaning, the Imam says, is not there to everyone. It is there only to those who are part of our Jamaat. Now, before I go on to explain the meaning of esoteric and Bati in a little bit more detail with examples, I just want to, because we are all, obviously by our presence, we are saying today that we are interested in the esoteric and in the real knowledge of our tariqah, then it is also incumbent, it is our obligation that we should pronounce this word correctly. So the word is batin. And you know, this word batin is a Quranic word. And there is a farman of Maulana Sultan Muhammad Shah alayhi salam in a book called the Talikas and Messages to the Jamaats of Africa, in which he tells the Jamaat, he tells us that throughout history, Ismailis have been Batiniyun and Ta'limiyun. So you see, by knowing this farman, you know that there is also a link between Batin and Ta'lim, and we'll come to the word Ta'lim as we go along. So the correct pronunciation is Batin or Batini, because if we pronounce it as Batun, then it loses that meaning. And I believe that Batun is a word which is used in Urdu, and it actually means somebody who is very talkative. Batuni means talkative. We are well aware that, you know, because Jamaat doesn't know Arabic as a first language, and because language also has a wonderful way of evolving, we know all these things, but now we live in a knowledge society. And that means we must correct everybody's pronunciation, say that the word is actually batin. And batin has many synonyms, which I will come to later. Where the Imam says that what is written is there, he is making a direct reference to the Holy Quran, the final revelation of Allah. And this final revelation is going to be here with us until the end of this cycle. So we have to connect the word batin to the Holy Quran. And of course, you all know, I think you all know this verse of the Holy Quran, where Allah says that He is the first, He is the last, huwa al-awwalu wa akhiru wa zahiru wal batin wa huwa bi kulli shay'in alim. This is in Surah 57, and it is ayat 3. So in this way, I was talking about this Surah 57, Surah Hadid, ayat number 3, in which God describes His own attributes as first, last, manifest, and hidden, batin. And you know, you'll find many, many different types of translations. And you have to think about this, two opposites, first, last, zahir, batin. Always in a pair. There is always a contrast and a pair. This is another beauty of the Holy Quran, that everything is created in pairs, in twos. So here, and we, the Jamaat, we use this as a tasbih. We say, awal ali, akhir ali, zahir ali, batin ali. It is a very favorite tasbih because it lends itself to rhythmic recitation, and it is wonderful. So we are aware that batin is the opposite of zahir, and that it applies to God in this particular ayah, and it is a Quranic word, batin. So now, before we go into the Quran, I would like, as I find that this is a very useful teaching tool, that we should always try to understand our faith from nature. You may all be aware that there is a hadith of the Prophet in which he says that Allah has founded His religion on nature, and from nature people can understand His religion, and from His religion then they can progress to His oneness. And you are all aware how much emphasis Maulana Hazar Imam puts on the fact that in Islam, the aim of education is that we should better understand creation, Allah's creation. So I want to take just a little bit of time to try and understand the importance of batin, because batin is not only in the Quran. For instance, let's take ourselves, because we are also one of the three books of God. The universe is a book of God, the Quran is a book of God, and the human being is a book of God. So let's look at ourselves, because we don't have to go far to look at ourselves. And we straight away know, this is known, but maybe not articulated, is that our body, our physical existence is the zahir, the exoteric, the external, the outer, but our soul is the batin, the esoteric, the internal. So this is an example from our personal world. Now let's look at other parts of creation. I'm always fascinated how, things that we eat every day are always in some sort of an outer cover. Take an egg, a chicken egg. There's a shell, and inside is the essence. Take a banana, it's inside the skin. Only when you peel it, you see what's inside, and the essence is inside. Take peas, for instance. Sometimes you feel this big pod, only these few peas have come out. What about the outer, the external? We can't cook it. Maybe there should be other uses for it. I'm sure there are. Take a flower. And the flower has been used by our great peers in their Dinanic literature. Durama dekho. Durama dekho, jem champa fulamaye vas. Don't look far for the essence, the divine. It is like the flower champa, in which the essence is the scent, the smell, the fragrance. But you don't see the fragrance. And yet people find it very difficult to accept the essence and the inner and the batin. And then finally, I want to use the example of a seed or a nut, a huge tree like walnut. It is completely enclosed and encompassed in a nut the size of, 1 centimeter or 2 centimeters. A complete tree is enveloped or encompassed in a nut. And when you open the nut, there is the essence. We do not eat the woody outer. We eat the nutritious inner. And Maulana Sultan Muhammad Shah has actually used this in a farman. And this farman was made in Zanzibar on the 13th of July, 1899. And he said, you eat the shells of the almond nuts, but you do not eat the nuts, which is why you do not know about the special characteristics of the almond. You ignore the nut and eat the shell. You do not search for its real attributes, its real worth. And this farman actually corroborates and substantiates our point that it seems as though many people are satisfied with the outer, whereas the essence, the taste, the beauty is in the inner. And so this inner is what we are talking about today. And from the examples which I have given you, that all of these things are in a way protected by the outer. They are protected by the outer. It is only when you open it up, the nut, that you will see the goodness of it. It's only when you peel the banana that you can eat the fruit. So in this way, the shell, the outer, is a protection, but it requires people to search to get to the inner. This is the important point, that when we talk about the inner aspect of the Quran, it straight away requires effort, endeavor, koshish. We have to work for it. We have to reflect on it. And that is something which is so much part of our tariqah. How many farmans can we all quote where the Imam says that, intellect is a facet of the Ismaili faith. Intellect. So what is the job of the intellect if it is not to acquire knowledge? And not only outer knowledge, but the inner, the essence. That is so important for us. While I was thinking about this whole thing about outer and inner, languages, you take our languages, how interesting they are. Just one or two examples for you. We in English have a word, F-I-R-E, fire. If you write that word fire on your hand, you will not feel anything. It's only a symbol. But if you actually put your finger in a real fire, you will really burn, and you will understand that that word F-I-R-E is only a symbol, but its meaning is the hakikat, the actual thing. In the same way, you take a whole science like chemistry. How many symbols are there? Let's take the simple one, H2O, hydrogen twice oxygen. Many times we give this funny example that by writing the letters H2O on your tongue, you will not feel anything. You will be frustrated. But if you drink a glass of water, your thirst will be quenched. So this all shows how important it is to look for the inner, the meaning. As Hazrat Imam said, we should be able to explain the meaning. Now, I said earlier that I would give you some examples of some synonyms of these words. So if you take batin, its opposite is zahir, its synonym is esoteric, and the opposite of esoteric will become exoteric. Another word which the Quran uses for this is ta'wil. Ta'wil. And the opposite of ta'wil is tanzil. And if you take Hazrat Imam's speech, which he made in London in 2003 at a symposium organized by the IIS, it was called The Word of God, the Art of Man. The whole speech is about the Quran and its beauty. And Maulana Hazrat Imam used several words. He said that the Quran is full of symbols, allegories, parables, and metaphors. So these are all synonyms of the word ta'wil. And in this way, we really open up the subject, that where something is in the Quran, it's a symbol, but what is the symbolize? What is the meaning? And in another farman, Maulana Hazrat Imam actually says also that it's not enough for you to know the meaning. You should also know the concept behind the meanings. So now, having said all that as an introduction, if you like, opening up the discussion of Bati not only in religion, in the Quran, but around us. I mean, we happily breathe oxygen, but we can't see it. So there are many, many things around us which are batin, and we have to reflect on them in order to understand why batin is so important for us. So now I would like to go to the word ta'wil, the inner essence of the Quran, and use the preamble of our global Ismaili, Shah Imam Ismaili Constitution, where paragraph B is very pertinent for our discussion now. And in it, it is said, in accordance with Shia doctrine, tradition, and interpretation of history, the Holy Prophet, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam designated and appointed his cousin and son-in-law, Hazrat Maulana Ali Amirul Mumineen alayhi salam, to be the first Imam to continue the ta'wil and ta'lim of Allah's final message and to guide the murids. And it finishes by saying, and proclaimed that the imamate should continue by heredity through Hazrat Maulana Ali alayhi salam and his daughter Hazrat Bibi Fatima Zahra Khatun-e-Jannat alayha salam. So you can see here two words, ta'wil and ta'aleem. And this is the work, this is the function, this is the role of the Imam of the time from the direct descent of Nabi Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam and Maulana Ali alayhi salam. So this is where we begin now to come to the, if you like, the point about the meaning is not there for everyone. So obviously the meaning, the word is there for everyone, but the meaning is not there for everyone. What makes this distinction? This distinction is made by whether somebody believes in the Imam as the direct descendant of the Holy Prophet, and whether they believe that he is the Ulul Amra, the holder, the possessor of the divine command, and many, many other descriptions which are in the Quran about the Imams, and what is our understanding of the Imam's hakikat, his reality. So now we have to understand a few words, perhaps in detail, so that we can progress in our understanding more. So let's go back to the Quran now, because it is the Quran's ta'wil that the Imam is charged with according to this preamble, right? And you know, this is a public document, it's in the English language, and as Imam has mentioned his role in many, many interviews, okay? So let's go first now to understand the word ta'wil, but in order to understand the word ta'wil, we have to understand the word tanzil, its opposite. So tanzil, in English we call that revelation of the Quran. Now, what we need to understand is exactly what is tanzil. You know, people say it is sent down to the Prophet's heart, because that's what's in the Quran. That Hazrat Jibreel, the trustworthy spirit, he brought it down to the Prophet's heart. How? We need to understand this. So we should take an example from our personal world and the world of nature around us. The personal world tells us that we all dream. And some of us, we are very lucky and we have very beautiful dreams. I don't know if any one of you has ever tried to describe in your language, whichever it is, Farsi, Urdu, English, French, whatever. Have you ever tried to describe your dream as you saw it after you awakened the next day? You will be amazed how difficult it is to capture exactly what you saw in your dream. Very difficult, because what you saw was something alive. It was an experience, experiential. And now, when you got up into the world of being awake, you have to describe this in words. And words are symbols, as we've already seen in the example of fire and H2O. So if you have seen some amazing colors, how would you describe them? Again, you will use examples. But even then you will feel, no, I have not done justice to this dream. So what happened to the Prophet? Was the Prophet dreaming? No. The Prophet was not dreaming. The Prophet was experiencing the spiritual world. He was experiencing the highest spiritual realities. He had gone to Mi'raj. He had experienced Mi'raj. He now had the difficult task of putting all these spiritual realities into the physical language of Arabic. And that's why he used parables, he used allegories, he used metaphors, he used symbols. And the meaning of ta'wil is that every imam in his own time has to unravel, if you like, unravel or remove the veils from the tanzil, from the examples, the allegories, and each time the imam has to guide the murids to understand those realities which are behind the allegories and the metaphors and the symbols and the parables. And that is called ta'wil. So, if tanzil, if you make a circle, half the circle would be the tanzil coming down from the spiritual world. And half the circle would be the ta'wil going back to its asal, its origin, its real meaning. And this is a process. The Holy Quran describes this as a process. It does not happen in a specific time. And so the easiest way to explain this to members of the Jamaat is that it's like an onion, that layer by layer, the Imam of the time, according to the capacity of his murids, will remove certain veils so that they too begin to understand what are the realities of the spiritual search. What do you encounter on the path to spirituality? This is something which many of you may not have heard. My husband, Dr. Fakir Muhammad Hunzai, is from northern areas of Pakistan. So he is a Badakshani, a greater Badakshani. And he, of course, reads Farsi. And he has told me that in the time of Maulana Sultan Muhammad Shah used to send Faramin to the Badakhshan area in the Farsi language. And this Farsi was written by a man who was employed to do this job, to write the words so that they could be sent to the Jamaats. But there was always a seal of the Imam on these farmans. And one of the seals of Maulana Sultan Muhammad Shah had these words in Farsi. What were these words? Quran tamam wasfi kamali Muhammadas. I do not know much Farsi, but I try to learn of the short sentences like this because they are very powerful. So let me repeat that. Quran tamam, the whole of the Quran. Quran tamam, wasfe kamali Muhammadas. The whole of the Quran is a description of or praise of the Kamal, the perfection of Hazrat Nabi Muhammad Mustafa. So the whole of the Quran is that. And we are the ones who are so lucky. We belong to this Jamaat. To the Jamaat, he says, it is only there to those who are part of our Jamaat. So we, the Ismailis, a minority within the Muslim Ummah, we are the ones who have access to this spiritual perfection of the Holy Prophet, which is described in the Holy Quran, through his direct descendant, the Imam of the time. Now, I want to also broaden this out so that, now we live in a world of pluralism and diversity, that esoteric groups have existed in all major religions. So let's just take the Ahl Kitab, because I know a bit more about them than I do about others. The Ahl Kitab, i.e. the Jews and the Christians, what we also call the Abrahamic tradition. So the Ahl Kitab, if you take the Jewish tradition, then they have, and it still exists, that's why I'm mentioning it, that they have esoteric Jewish groups which are called the Kabbalah. You can Google and find out about them. In the same way, we have the Christians who are closest to us, Muslims, and the Christians have had very active in some times of the history. Nowadays you don't hear much about them, but in some times, the periods of history, they have been very active, what are called Gnostics. 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 So in Islam also, we are the esoteric, the Batiniyun, the Ta'limiyun. This is our good fortune. This is our great, great blessing that we have this. And this is why our faith is called the faith of intellect, the faith of spiritual search, the faith of personal search. I hope that, when I say things like this, you are making connections to all the farmans which you have heard many, many times in the Jamaat. I must check the time. I think I'm nearly finished with my time. So perhaps I should stop there because I'm ready to talk more. I have all the historical information about how Prophet Muhammad ensured that the Tanzil would have the ta'wil with it. This would be the historical aspect, and I was going to give you hadith, etc. But maybe for this first lecture, we can stop now and see if you have questions, and we must ask Mola to inspire us to answer the questions to the best of our ability. Aziz bhai, will that be all right now?
Ji Rashida Saiba, thank you, and let's open the floor for questioning. Please send your question in the chat or in the group. So looks like we have a question. Go ahead, please.